Hello, little big leaguers. You're probably sitting inside right now, enduring the cold weather, and dreaming about the upcoming baseball season. Well, guess what? It's time to stop sitting around. It's time to take action on the 2026 Little Big Fantasy League season. I'm Co-Commissioner Leo. I'm here today with my former broadcast partner and League Commissioner, Jon Leo, and we're here to bring you some very exciting news, updates, and next steps that you can take to help prepare your team for the 2026 LBFL season. And you better enjoy it while it lasts because we're slated for a lockout in 2027.
Yikes!
It'd be a really disappointing change in baseball if we head towards a lockout, but we've got to focus on the year we have, be where your feet are, be present. It's going to be a great season, Leo.
It sure is. Let's get right into it here. We've got plenty to cover today. And we're going to go ahead and start with welcoming the newest member of the Little Big Fantasy League. We'd like to officially welcome Gordy McLeod to the LBFL as Justice League, former owner of the Justice League, will be stepping away. I know that Gordy's very excited to be joining the league. John and I were together just a few weeks ago and actually were able to call him to formally ask him to be a participant, and I know Gordy is absolutely thrilled. So just want to get into a little bit of a biography on Mr. McLeod here. He was actually born next to a nuclear power plant in the flats of Utica, Michigan. He's childhood friends with Winston Churchill, as you can see with that hat he's got on there. That's actually from Mr. Churchill himself. He's actually employed right now as the secretary of Troy United FC. He'll quote unquote pick you up whenever you'd like. Always goes to the D Las Vegas, your home for Detroit sports in Vegas. It's his go-to when it comes to casinos. He's actually a season ticket holder of the Toledo Mud Hens MLB affiliate, and he frequents the Canadian favorite Freighter Beach in the summertime. So welcome Gordy McLeod to the league. We're excited to have you this year. We're excited to see what your team name is going to be and how you're going to transform what looks to be pretty good bones in your existing roster.
Yeah, welcome, Gordy. We're excited to have you, another knowledgeable Tigers fan, joining the fold. All right, so now the important information. What has changed? Active rosters are increased to 24, going up one spot. That's just going to be a bench spot, not a player's spot, so the point total should remain similar to last season. The stash size will increase from 5 to 7, and you'll be able to fill your stash all the way up to 7 players, no matter how many you have currently. So some teams may only have 2 picks. Some players may get all 7. The league dues are going to increase from 25 to 30. This will just allow us to increase kind of based on inflation. And then also stash players will now allowed to be included in trades. It can be easiest if both teams include a stash player. That is not required. There will be some updates on stash limitations coming up, but Leo will get to that later.
All right, let's look at what hasn't changed. So IL spots remain the same. 4 total IL spots for this season, same as last year. We are open to possibly expanding that in the future, but with only 1 additional player on your overall roster, we thought it made sense to keep it at 4. For ads, you will have 27 total for the entire season. It's a 2 per week maximum. That remains the same. And then ads are restricted from free agents / waivers once postseason play begins. That goes for all teams, whether you've made the playoffs, whether you have not made the playoffs. Stash usage remains the same as well. Be sure to notify John when you would like to add a player from your stash to your active roster. And then also stash players can be added during the postseason. So, when you're going through that stash draft this year, that's definitely something to keep in mind from a strategic standpoint. You can't pick up a player from free agents or waivers once you get to that postseason, but you can add a player from the stash to your active roster during postseason play. Another thing to note for the stash as a reminder, once a stash player has been called up, they cannot get pulled back down to your stash, so you do have to be careful when pulling up a player that may not stick around in the big leagues. And looking at the postseason, 6 out of 10 teams will participate in postseason play, and the top 2 teams from the regular season will get a first round bye. Postseason format is not changing. We thought about extending to make at least the championship a couple weeks long. However, there are some restrictions in Yahoo that do not really allow us to make a smooth transition with adding weeks to matchups in the playoffs, so that will be kept the same.
All right, continuing on with our payouts and what is owed. It will be a $300 total pot, 30 from each owner. There's a QR code right over here on Joe's jersey.
Perfect.
Please scan it and be able to pay our league commissioner or our league treasurer. First place will get 50% of the payout at $150. Second place about half of that, 78. Third place making a little bit more than their buy-in, and then each team will get an additional $6 for who makes the playoffs. So a little bonus, making sure you're trying to get over that threshold and keeping it competitive. So Venmo Joe Lenzini, and if you don't have Venmo, then you probably shouldn't be in this league anyways.
Finish him.
Let's take a look at finalizing keepers. So the deadline for finalizing your keepers has actually already been communicated in the league group chat. That deadline is Valentine's Day, February 14th.
Ooh la la.
That is the final day that you can select your keepers by 11:59 p.m. Eastern on that day. Active rosters must be reduced to 24 players. Just as a reminder, players do not begin the year on the injured list even if they are injured. For instance, an example for my team, I know Garrett Cole is going to be entering the season on the injured list. However, I do have to select him as one of my 24 players in my keepers. Be sure to inform either John or myself if a player on your stash who has lost rookie eligibility is going to be called up to your active roster during the keepers period, or if you would like to declare them as a free agent. More to come on that a little bit later. We do have that tracking spreadsheet that everyone has access to, and you can actually see the updates that John has made to see if your player has either lost rookie eligibility or can still remain on your stash. Also, all teams can drop one player from their stash who have not lost their rookie eligibility. That is obviously new for this year, as this is now the second season that we have the stash implemented. This is an optional mechanism which kind of allows for a situation of maybe a bad draft pick or somebody that you just don't want on your stash anymore, somebody that's kind of just there to take up space. So this will give you an extra stash pick in the stash draft and an extra roster spot on the stash. And this will be implemented going forward. There will be one drop each year. Same thing every year, where you can, no questions asked. You can decide to just clear one player from your stash, whether they have lost their rookie eligibility or not. And then lastly, for keepers, once all keepers are in, trading will open up. So trading should open up theoretically on February 15th. That's if all teams have their keepers in. I recommend to do that, a couple of days beforehand, but don't do it immediately, because there always is that consideration of injuries that might pop up in the next couple of weeks here.
A few more details. This is really regarding the stash draft. So a few big details. That deadline is also going to be February 14th. A lot of this information is going to need to be given via text. You can just put Leo and I in a group chat and then just message us what your decisions are. So each team may declare one player from their stash to be dropped by February 14th. So you can pick any player. This is Leo's team, for example, right now. He only has one eligible player left, because technically Jace Young and Kobe Mayo both lost their eligibility. But if he would like to just drop Noah Schultz, he could do that and open up an extra spot on his stash. All players without rookie eligibility for the 26th season, they must be dropped. Those are going to be your players that are highlighted on orange on your stash tracker page. And we'll share that out with everyone again so they have access to that. So I already went through, determined that what players have eligibility or not. We use Baseball Reference as the page to determine whether they have it. If you've got different information, our source could be wrong, just let us know. But we use Baseball Reference for everybody, so it should be universal and correct across the board. There's also another key on that page as well to tell you what the difference is between the color coding. So notify the commissioners of your decision to add so that they can be added to your active roster without counting it as one of your 27 allowed adds for the season. So we will manually add them to your team, and then you are going to have to tell us what player you want us to drop. This is a player you initially kept on your team, but then you want them dropped. So that other player will then become a free agent. Players highlighted in orange, those are the ones that lost their eligibility. So it's just easier to set it up with the color coding there. Here's an example for Leo's team here. If Leo wanted to call up Kobe Mayo, he'll text me and I'll add him to his active roster. He has to include what player that's on his active roster he wants him to drop. For example, he could use Seth Lugo as an example. So Leo would have kept Seth Lugo as one of his keepers, but then within that next day, Seth Lugo would get dropped from his team and Kobe Mayo would be automatically added. Please send those transactions that you want by February 14th. We'll try to get them all processed within a day or two. It is Valentine's Day, so if I would like to stay married, I probably should not be processing these on the 14th. So I would like it if you just gave those to me a little bit ahead of time or gave me some grace on getting it to afterwards.
All right, Stash Draft date and time is set Sunday, February 22nd at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern. And hopefully you can make it over for an LBFL weekend over at my place, just as a reminder. If you can stick around and draft in person, that'd be cool. But yeah, the stash size has increased to 7 players, as we mentioned. And just a few call-outs for what the draft process will look like. It's a non-snake format. The draft will continue until all teams have filled out all 7 of their stash spots. And once your stash has 7 players, your draft position will be skipped over. As John mentioned earlier, there's going to be teams that draft all 7 rounds of the stash draft, but there could be a scenario where maybe you only draft a couple of rounds, maybe 2 or 3 rounds. It all depends on who you decide to keep. It all depends on the status of rookie eligibility for your players and the decisions that you will make during these next couple of weeks.
All right, a few more details before we get into the lottery to see who did win the stash draft. We really discussed a lot about trading picks, tried figuring out a way to make this an option, but the reality was there were so many variables that trading picks, because we are not sure how many picks each team will get each year. Right now, we are not moving forward with that. You are allowed to trade players that are within your stash, so that is a different way that you could trade for a prospect who hasn't been called up yet. If you have an idea about how you can make this work or more thoughts on the stash, would love to hear some of those thoughts, because it would be a cool way to do it. We just don't have all the details, and it wasn't something that we could get lined up for this season.
It's definitely open for discussion, and John and I talked about it pretty extensively. We thought of a lot of different hypotheticals where we could make it happen, but also ran into some hypotheticals where it seemed very difficult, a very manual process. So, let's definitely use this next season to talk more about this, because overall, the majority of league members are interested in this topic. So it will be tabled for now, but open for future consideration.
All right, we will now jump over to the stash draft. As a reminder, the bottom 6, it's in reverse order of the playoff finish, not regular season, but playoff. So JD will have the last pick, Leo, Carter, myself, then Joe and Kyle. And these final 4 teams, we will do it as well. We'll start with all 4. You want to be the last one standing on the wheel. All right. So with the 4th pick in the stash draft, looks like it's going to be Tom. For the 3rd pick in the stash draft, looks like it'll be our newcomer, Gordy, TBD. Looking forward to finding out what that team name is going to be. There's some high expectations. All right, and now for clarity, the name that pops up here is going to have the number 1 overall pick. So the winner gets the number 1 overall pick, whoever name pops up. Walt, who barely got a lottery pick, somehow sneaks his way in and wins it all.
That is crazy. Wow.
Like Connor Griffin might have a new home.
Did not expect that. But yeah, I mean, Walt, he actually made the playoffs the first season and did not make it last year after starting off the season very strong. This will be very interesting. We can't assure everybody that was just done in live time. As John was spinning the wheel, I was actually updating that Google slide. So there is your official order of the 2026 Stash Draft. Again, that will take place on the 22nd of February. All right, post-draft transactions. Waivers will open up on February 23rd. We decided on 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Gives us a little bit of a cool down time from the Stash Draft, just in case there are any manual transactions or trades to process. So from February 23rd to March 24th, during that period, teams are allowed up to 3 ads. Now keep in mind that these 3 ads will count towards the 27 season-long total. So, it's not really necessarily a free-for-all. Claims can be placed on current free agents during this time, and there will be a 48-hour window for claims. Waiver priority will go in reverse order from the regular season standings from last year, and if you need clarity on that, it will eventually appear in Yahoo. However, it is also in the league record book, which you can find on the shared Google Sheet, which John mentioned that he will ensure everyone has access to, but you should all have access to it already. After the 48-hour waiver period, waiver priority window, free agency and trades will resume as normal, and waivers close on February 25th at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Just want to give a plug for the Little Big Fantasy League podcast. It was really fun last year for everyone that was able to attend and participate. I know there were some folks that sent in clips and photos. The first episode this year we'll be filming on February 24th. We're looking forward to that. That's a Tuesday. Usually we film at about 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. So always fun to record those, and for everyone to be able to watch those as well. We end up posting them on YouTube. I would encourage everyone to join as a regular contributor if you can. It's literally like an hour to 2 of your time each week if you can make it. We're always looking for special guests, but if you can't make it, send in your photos and videos. Show us some recent ballpark trips that you've taken or anything baseball related, and stir the pot.
Beef.
And I just want to ask you guys one question. Do you have what it takes to get the job done? As you can see, Walt here is putting in the work, putting in the hours, and taking what's ours, which is a little bit of park maintenance for the Frisbee golf, disc golf, one of the parks that he plays in there. But do you have what it takes to get the job done this year? We've had 2 champions so far in the Little Big Fantasy League. It was the Luke Collins Heartthrobbers the first year, and the Stephen Hawkings earned the trophy last year. So will we see a new winner? Will we see a repeat winner? There's a lot to uncover in this upcoming Little Big Fantasy League season.
Best of luck to everyone this year. Looking forward to a great year.